See why you leave that earring? So I into the loss. All right. All right. All right. All right. Is the audio clear like this? He's only bring water from back home. All right, now let's go live, please. Just are we live? All right. Good evening, everyone who's here and who will come. Good evening. Good evening. All right. All right, so I'll just spend the next 28 seconds, 28 minutes rather, challenging your thoughts pattern, as it were. A couple of things I just want to, in a sense, just charge you in this season. So the word for this evening is comebackability. It's a made-up word. It's a made-up word. Sounds like compatibility, but it's not compatibility. It's comebackability. So it's easy. It's easy. Comebackability. So it is your ability to come back after being pushed down. It's your ability to rise back after being let down. It's your ability to stand after life pushes you. Your ability to stand. So what's your comebackability ratio? What's your how's your comebackability? You see, there's a phrase that says every storm runs out of rain. Every storm runs out of rain. And this means that the current storm in the world, COVID-19, will run out of rain. Interestingly, pretty, really soon. Soon the governments will begin to make certain adjustments slowly to open up the economy. In fact, by this week, by Tuesday, we'll begin to see some of such adjustments. Now, it is one thing to have been in your houses expecting these changes to happen, expecting the economy to be open, expecting that things will just return. It is one thing to have been expecting that. But it is another thing to be prepared for that opening. Did you see what I'm trying to do here now? It's one thing for us to expect that the economy will be open, the borders will be open, inter and intra-state movements will now be allowed. It's one thing to be expecting it. It's one thing to be in your house to be saying, I don't tire for this lockdown. Oh, when this thing is one thing to actually be saying that thing, it is another thing for you to actually be prepared for such opening. You know, now, what I'm talking about when I coin the phrase, for when I'm using this phrase right now, comebackability, is your ability to bounce back after being pushed down. We've been home on Tuesday, rather Wednesday, we make it 1 month. We have been at home April 1st through to April 28th. That is 4 weeks in a row. We have been at home. Are you sure you are ready now to come out? Are you sure your business is ready to reintroduce herself to the world? Are you sure you are ready to reintroduce yourself to your customers? Are you really sure that you are ready? I'll give you an example. How do you come back from being pushed down? In 1 Samuel 30, David's wives, children, and the people in his town where he was king were taken. How did David come back? How did David come back? You know, in Psalms 126 and verse 6, the Bible says, "He that goeth forth bearing precious seeds shall doubtless come back rejoicing." He said, "He that goeth forth weeping, bearing precious seed, shall doubtless come back again with rejoicing, bringing his sheaves with him." But you see, this guy came back. I'm asking you today, how do you come back? How are you going to come back? How did Joseph come back when his brother pushed him down? He came back better. You see, you must understand God's position in all these things. Jeremiah 29:11 made us understand God's position in all these things. He said, "For I know the things that I think towards you, they are thought of good, thought of peace, not of evil, to give you an expected end." So God is concerned how you end up. God is concerned how you are at the end of this lockdown. God is concerned how you come out after this whole COVID-19 palaver. So how are you coming back? How did Jesus himself come back? Jesus came back as Christ. Jesus came back as the resurrected Christ. So how do you plan to come back? So again, I said it is one thing to expect that the borders be open, business go back to normal. That's one thing. It's another thing for you to plan for it. Are you ready? Is your business ready for the borders to be open? In fact, I think that for those who are pretty much smart, that is enough podcast for the day. Is your business ready for the borders to be open again? Now, if the borders are open right now, if on Tuesday evening the governor goes on air and announces that, hey, inter and intrastate movement will now be allowed. The only thing that is required now is you have to wear a face mask. If you don't wear the face mask, this is going to be the fine that will be put, but your business cannot open. All you have to do is follow the social distancing rule and wear a face mask. I'm asking you, is your business ready for inter and intrastate movement? That alone should begin to be that provoking thing you should sit down this evening to do. So if you didn't have what you plan to do this evening, I've given you a task. Just sit down and ask yourself, is my business ready for the lockdown to be lifted or the lockdown to be made light? So how you respond to this question is a proof of your individuality. You know, he said, she said yesterday, I said something about individuality is a status that is attained by a human being when a human being begins to take full responsibility for himself. One thing I will just bring to your knowledge this evening is this: how we remember, what we remember, and why we remember. Those are the things that form the map of our individuality. How we remember, what we remember, and why we remember. So the question for the evening is this: is your business, your establishment, your job, what you do, are you ready as an individual to face the lifting of the inter and intrastate border lockdown? Are you ready? Is your business now ready? It's one thing to be talking. It's one thing to be on different WhatsApp groups and just be sharing ideas and be blasting things, to be sharing WhatsApp story images. It's one thing for you to be doing all those things. It's another thing for you to be really, really ready. So I'll just begin to run through some things that might help you in planning to get ready. One thing you want to do is understand and embrace your limitation. Understand the things you can do and the things that you cannot do. Understand what is within your reach and what is not within your reach. You must be able to embrace that, because there's been a lot of talk. We've had several conversations with several professionals and experts on this subject of COVID-19 and the impact it has on the economy and different industry. We've had those kind of conversation. So you may have heard big things. One of the things I try to do with all of the people that I interviewed, I try to make sure that they didn't just leave us with lofty ideas. If you notice and follow those interviews, if you see how that whatever they say, I am trying to drag them down to the level of the smallest person listening, so that, once you interview such people, like we interviewed Tayo, I was trying to tell him, listen, there's a young boy who is a tailor, he has no staff and all that, because I did not want Tayo Gabriel to leave anybody discouraged, because there's a way you can listen to some people who are a bit successful, and when they are done, all you really have gotten today is discouragement, because they have just shown you the things you cannot do. So one thing I'll tell you this evening in preparing for your comebackability is this. Please know your limitation. Know what's within your reach and what's not within your reach. And in trying to do that, you must understand your value. You must understand that there is a value that you bring. At your level, there is something you can do. At your size, there is something that you can change. At this particular level, there is some form of goodwill that you can bring. So again, the question is, are you ready to come back? Are you ready to come back? We have spoken to several professionals, and one of the things that was like an LCM to all of them, they talked about how this season is a fine season for you to reach your customers, those you do business with, and all that you should do something for your customers. I ask you, what have you done for the customers? Are you ready to come back? Have you been able to imprint your business name in the minds of your people in this season? How have you put yourself out there in this season? That is your comebackability. One of the things that is required, in fact, the major ingredient when we use the word comebackability is your resilience. What is your resilience level? What is your resilience level? Two things will make up your comebackability. Number one, there are two arrows. So in trying to just make it sound very nice, there are two arrows. So there is your resilience. That is the fact that you do not break. The fact that COVID-19 lockdown has not broken you. The fact that this whole virus period has not taken away the drive you have to do your business. That is your resilience. That your stay power. That is when you are pushed down, your ability to rise back. That is your comebackability. The second arrow here is your resourcefulness. You see, when you do not back down, you choose to stay up. Because you choose to stay up, what people will begin to see is how resourceful you have been all along. So again, the question is, what is your comebackability? Are you ready to come back? Your comebackability will show your resourcefulness. Now, I also want to give you another just advice that will, in a sense, help you in this period. You must learn to drive your curiosity. We are all curious people. We are all curious people. You know, that's funny adage of curiosity kills the cat, where curiosity can actually open the mind. Curiosity can actually open the mind. A lot of times, some of us find ourselves up in the night in this period. You find yourself just up on the bed. You are not sleeping. Your phone is in your hand, and you are looking at several sites. Let me tell you, direct that energy. That's what I do. I direct such energy. How can I just do this thing better? How can this thing improve? How can this thing get better? I direct such energy. So the question is, the advice is, direct your curiosity in this season. Channel all those energy to making sure you are filling yourself with a lot of knowledge. Let everybody who come in contact with you post-COVID, after this lockdown is lifted, not post-COVID-19, sorry. After the lockdown is lifted, let everybody who come in contact with you see that this guy actually has grown on the inside. This will mean that this will require you stepping out of your comfort zone. Your comebackability will require you stepping out of your comfort zone. It will require you doing certain things that you may not have been doing before the lockdown. Are you ready to come back? Are you seeing what I'm doing here? I'm just trying to, in a sense, push certain thoughts out there in your head. Let these thoughts begin to query your readiness for the lockdown to be lifted. So again, are you ready to do things that you were not doing before? Are you ready to communicate in a way you were not communicating before? Are you ready to put yourself out there in ways you were not putting yourself out there before? So you must understand that the comebackability you require in this season will require that you do things outside your comfort zone. You have to step outside the areas that you have been used to. You must push the boundary of what is possible. You must learn to push the boundary of what is possible. For example, let me give you certain advice. Be the first to put a new signpost out there that reflects the season. Do you hear what I said? Be the first to put a new signpost out there that reflects the season. Be compliant with the new season. Be compliant with the new season. On that street, on that road where your shop or your office is, be the first to put a sign that shows that you are compliant in this season. Be the first to change your price list. We have conversations about pricing with all these experts. Be the first to change your price list. Again, be the first to offer health-conscious services or healthy ways of doing business. Did you hear what I said? Be the first. Be the first. You know, the problem is so many of us are not individuals. We don't have a mind of our own. We can't make decisions. So after this lockdown is lifted and business goes into operation gradually, you will see people waiting to wait. Let's see what our other photographer will do first. People will be saying, let's see what this lady will do. Let's wait. Why are you not able to absorb all the data in this season, interpret them, and make a decision? Why are you afraid of mistakes? You can make adjustments as you go. Are you hearing what I'm saying? You can make adjustments as you go. So your comebackability will require that you take a stand. What way? You know, in the conversations we've had with all these professionals, with all these people who are thriving in different industry, as it were, we've heard people talk about, people will now be more health conscious. People will now be more health conscious. So question is this: how do I offer my service and my products that people see that I'm health conscious? Communicate that. Answer that question within, then communicate it. In fact, be the first to communicate it. Be the first to communicate it. The last time I had a podcast really or a broadcast really like this, where I was talking about advancing in adversity, I remember one of the key things I was saying that day is the reevaluation of your goals. That before the year or at the beginning of the year, 2020, you sat down, you wrote certain things that were like your goals, like the things you want to achieve. You had a vision, you had a mission. You said, these are the things, this is your route. And I said to you, listen, by God's divine plan, the end has not changed. You will still get to where you are going. And if you're a member of this ministry, God has told us clearly that his word for us for the year 2020 spread is sure that we are spreading and even spreading more in this season. So the destination has not changed. However, the route has evolved. The path we are taking has evolved. For example, we plan to use, as a ministry, we have planned to improve our online church. Are you seeing that? We had planned to improve our online church. We had the strategy of 2 or 3 faith seminars equal 1 convention. We had certain things that we put in, we had just talked about, we were talking about. But this period now has changed all of that route. It has put us in a place where our online church has become a major part to achieving our goals for 2020. Are you seeing that now? It has become a major part for us to be able to achieve our goal for 2020. The target has not changed. However, the route to it has changed. So I want to ask you again, have you been able to reevaluate your goals? Have you been able to reevaluate your path to your vision? Have you been able to reevaluate the routes you are taking to the destination? If you have reevaluated that route that you're taking to the destination, it brings me to tell you, then communicate that route. Communicate that new route that you have taken. Let it show in your communication. Too many of us are lost in overthinking. Too many of us, like I said, I'm just throwing out these thoughts that the Holy Ghost is impressing in my heart and all that. See, too many of us are lost in overthinking in this season. Do not allow yourself to be caught by the paralysis of analysis. What is the paralysis of analysis? It's a person who gets crippled by the person becomes immobile because he wants to do something. As he's thinking of the thing, he just becomes immobile because he's overthinking the thing. He's bringing too many what if. And a lot of times you may have found yourself in that place of paralysis of analysis where because you were actually overanalyzing the what ifs, you did nothing at all. Listen to me. Sit down. Just think of something. Take time. Pray about it. Then just be bold enough to take an action. Ask yourself certain questions. I'll read a few of them that I wrote down. Ask yourself certain questions. Number 1, what difficulties have I overcome before in the past? I'm trying to make you have some form of confidence in your decision. A lot of people do not have confidence in their decision. What difficulties have I been able to overcome in the past? How exactly did I succeed in overcoming those difficulties? What did I do specifically to get out of that place? How did I think at the time? How was I thinking at the time? What questions did I ask myself? What lessons did I learn from that experience? How can I use those lessons and apply them to my current comebackability? Do you see those questions now? Ask yourself these things. I'll repeat them so those of us listening can be able to take it down. Though you can come back to replay the video or the audio, but these are the questions again. What difficulties have I previously overcome? How exactly did I succeed in overcoming those difficulties? What did I do specifically that time? How did I think at the time? What questions did I ask myself? What lessons did I learn from these experiences? How can I apply these lessons in my current predicament? How can I apply those lessons I learned right now? You know, one of the things some of us have not been able to do is redirect or reconvert energy. While energy as a matter cannot be destroyed, energy can be converted into another form. From liquid to solid, from solid to gas, and all of that. Energy can be converted. Some of us are very bold to do certain things. The same way you are bold you are not afraid of heights. You're very bold. You can jump from a place. That is some level of risk management there that you have mastered. Somehow, what you have not mastered is how to convert that same energy in starting your business, in facing what you have to do. It's not a different skill that is required. It's not something new that is required. It's just that you have not been able to reconvert these things. Another thing that will help you in your comebackability quotient is this. Those of us who joined late, please I'm not making a mistake when I say comebackability. It's not combat. It's not compatibility, please. It is comebackability. It's a made-up word from 3 words. Come back ability. comeback and ability. So just put it together, it's comeback ability. And the word is really defined simple. We can all have a relation to it. It's easy. How you intend to bounce back or come out after the lockdown. How your business is going to relate after the lockdown. And the question for the evening is your business ready for the inter and intrastate movement, to the ban on intra and interstate movement to be lifted? Are you sure you are ready? What would you do, and what would you do differently when the ban on inter and intrastate movement is lifted? What would you do? That's your comeback ability. How are you going to represent your establishment once this whole lockdown is lifted? What are the things you will do and put there? So finally, another thing would help you, that will help your comeback ability quotient, is role models. Role models. Role models. Who are you following in this season? Who are you following in this season? What are the examples these people are living? So you see, this is why role modeling for business is, before crisis, you were supposed to have a business role model. You were supposed to have a business role model. I've always had a principle for life, and let me just share it with you. Listen, I believe that at every stage that I am at, I should have peers, people at my level. I believe that I should have people at my level. And I've always had this all my life. I also believe that I should have people who are just ahead of me. Who are just ahead of me. They're doing what I'm doing, but they're just steps ahead of me. So I believe I should have those kind of people. So I'm always looking at them. They've gone through the challenges I'm currently going through. And sometimes I just study how they did it. I always ask questions like, how did this person do this thing? How did this person do that thing? What worked when this person was at this level? I always ask those kind of questions. Well, I'll give you a real practical example. When our church was just a little under 100 people and all that, and there was one period, I was discussing with one of my friends there, Pastor Ayajani. I said there was one period in our church, it's as though it was a stigma. We couldn't pass 96. We could not pass 96. Major challenge. So we're looking at how do we now take this church above this 100 mark and put it somewhere, and all that. So today we have crossed this mark. The question is, how do we now take this church to 200 people? The same set of people who I was looking at, see, they have crossed, I have crossed, they have crossed to a place higher. So have a group of people in your life, a few, maybe one person or two people, really, who are just in the next phase of your life. Are you seeing that? Then have those people who are the targets. They are like the goal of where you are going. 3 levels of relationship. My level, just ahead of me, and the target. And the target. Just have those. When you have that, as a pastor, I was discussing with one of my senior pastor friends. I said, when I just look at what Pastor Boju is doing, sometimes that so hard fails me, but that's where I'm going. That place is where I'm going. But it's not just ahead of me. He's the benchmark. So have a benchmark, have someone just ahead of you, and have pairs. When you have pairs, you discuss with each other your pair level and say, how are we going to? How do you view this thing? At the pair level, what you are trying to do is share perspective. At the pair level, you are sharing perspective. This is how I see this thing. And the other person says, this is how I see this thing. This is how I apply this thing. And the other person goes, no, this is how I apply this thing. So what you are doing at pair level, you are broadening your minds. You are broadening your mind. At pair level, open yourself to questioning. Open yourself to questioning. This is what I'm doing, and this is why I'm doing what I'm doing. Then let the people at that level be comfortable enough for this person or 2 people or 3 people who you have allowed into your pair group, into the same space. I'm talking about people doing the same thing that you are doing. I'll tell you something. It looks like I'm even sharing some other principle outside what I'm sharing, but hopefully it will help you, right? It is very important that if you are a business person, that you try to keep company with people who are in the same space with you. It channels your thoughts. It helps your thoughts be on the same lane. Are you seeing that now? You know, once you're in a particular, you are in a particular, you can learn from other industry and other field and other places as you study them, but keeping them close, your conversation is divergent. You have to make sure that you constantly have friends who you have peer groups, you stay with people whose conversation are similar and all that. So at that level, I said you are sharing perspective. I was talking about role models before I went into these three classification of relationships. So I will just tell you about role models. So what should you do? In this season, look at your role models. Because one of the key things, reason you had role models in the first place, is so that they will show you the way out. Are you seeing it there? They will show you, and not by talking to you, by just them being themselves. They are showing you the way out of something. They are passing the place. They will show you the way out. So this season, keep your eyes on your role models. Those of you who didn't have a role model before, I've explained these three classifications of relationship. Take it seriously. Take a pen and ask, who are my peers? You know, the problem with a lot of people is that when you begin to think that you are too smart, like all these things I'm saying now, you already know them. It's a lie. Just sit down one day, like today. Sit down and write, who are the people in my inner peer group who have a right to, in a sense, question my perspective? Who are the people who I'm comfortable sharing my perspective on life and principles to? And they have a right to question my perspective. You know, almost every day I sit down with my friend Pastor Oni. I said, this is what I'm doing. And this is why I'm doing this thing. He said, this is what I do. This is why I do it. We begin to just share all this angle and perspective. Too many times we've had conversation when I say, this is how I see it. He goes, this is how I see it. How do you think that is? Our minds are broadened. Our minds are broadened when we begin to sharpen each other. Iron sharpeneth what? Iron. So should a man's friend bring light to his countenance. So ask yourself, who are the people in my peer group? You know, the problem with some of us is this leadership complex. Everybody around you, you are their boss. That boss. If you are that kind of person, the chances that you are blocked from the truth is very high. If you are that kind of person, the chances that you are blocked from the truth is extremely high, because you have surrounded yourself with people who cannot talk to you. Are you saying that now? So I've talked about, somehow it looks like this, God is impressing my heart that this relationship thing is, this three class of relationship is the major onion for the day. So make sure you have these people who are in your space, people who can question your perspective. Because when your perspective is questioned, you must understand the truth about perspective is that if you don't gain the proper perspective of the situation, you will not be able to handle the situation right. One thing I do, for example, I make a decision. I've made a decision in my heart. I've thought the situation through in my heart. I've taken a stand in my heart. I've not carried out the step. I call my friend, for example, like one of the guests we've had, Emeka Oge. I will call him. I will say to him, brother, that's how we call each other. I'll say, brother, this thing is happening. I've looked at this way, and this way. And this is what I would like to do. I table everything for him. My side, the other angle, every angle, I table everything for him. Then I ask a question. I've done it once, twice, many times. I'll ask him, do you think there is something I'm not seeing? Do you understand what I just said? It's not that the decision is his. I just tell him the exact thing that happened. And he said, and tell him also what I would like to do and why I would like to do that thing. Once I'm done, I ask the question, do you think there's something I am not seeing? If your perspective is not broadened, you are blindsided. Are you seeing that? And once you are blindsided, your decision is already faulty because you did not have the full angle of the event happening. So once you have that relationship with a small 2-3 people who are in your space, in talking to you now, you have heard 2 people who are in my space, Pastor O'Neill and Emeka Oge. Have you seen that? These are people I will say, look, this thing's happening. I've been thinking about this thing. I've prayed about this thing. And this is what I'd like to do. Do you think that there's something I'm not seeing or doing well? They share their opinions or their thoughts, suggestions, and they go. I go back again. The Holy Ghost within me. And with all these facts, the Holy Ghost begin to interpret the data for me. And I take a decision. Then there are people in front. Do this work. There are people in my front. I'm looking every day. I'm looking. What are these people doing? Why are they doing this thing? And all that. So make sure you have that. So the place of role model for you in this comebackability conversation is this. Who are my role models? Why do I admire and respect them? Why do I admire and respect them? For example, when I think of what my pastor, Pastor Tony Rappel, will do in this season, there's no way I can shrink in this season. There's no way I can bend in this season. There's no way I can bow in this season. There's no way. So why do I admire and respect these people? In my own case, I understand that my father is always ready. He saw it coming. He has strategy to wither it. He has systems on the ground that withers everything that comes his way. So how have they previously bounced back from defeat? How did they handle themselves in those situations? How can I learn from their experience that I could apply? What can I learn from their experience that I could apply in my situation? What valuable advice would they give me if they could reach me now? What valuable advice would they give me if they could reach me now? This afternoon, I sat on my bed. And I was thinking about money for ministry work. And I heard Pastor Tony's voice. I heard it, but I knew that was God talking to me. But God spoke to me in a voice of authority. I just heard it calmly. And I got up and I said, I have my answer. What I'm saying to some of you is some of us lack these people or category of relationship. And in times like this, those relationships were supposed to feed us. They're supposed to feed us. So if you don't have, and you know, when I say feed you, sometimes it's not because they even spoke to you at all. Some of you were part of the call when I called Pastor Tony during this lockdown thing. If you were part of that call, you know, you would tell how firmly he was telling me that, remember, I told you this thing. That's how you're fed. That's how you're fed. So, what is your comebackability level? How else can you view this thing? Are you willing to change your angle, your lens? Don't faff away this period. Let me give you an assignment. Well, I've given you a couple of assignments today. Let me just add one. What valuable lesson can I learn from this season? When you ask, when you tell your children, and in March of 2020, Nigeria experienced something alongside the rest of the world. It began in December in a city called Wuhan in China. And it began to spread across the world gradually in January. But it got to us in March. My son, this is what I learned from that period. Write it. Because some of us are just whiling away time. So write it. What is something of value I could take away from this period? With this viewpoint of mine, I hope I've been able to tell you or challenge you to a point where your comebackability is firm. Thank you for connecting with me this evening. Tomorrow evening, I will take comebackability to a new level and a higher height. Do well to connect with us. God bless you all. And tell your friends. You see, this kind of thoughts that I just shared this evening, are they not thought-provoking enough for your friends everywhere to be hearing? Tell your friends. It's not denominational at this point. Tell your friends. So I'll see you tomorrow evening. God bless you.